so you can hear the roar of our diesel electric haul us up this really steep grade. Our locomotive's just about the midway point here onto the top of the hill of our 4% grade. Looking closest to us on the inside of the curve, you'll be seeing 4801 and 5442, the Union Pacific Coach and Diner. This which you would normally ride on between the 40s and all the way through the 70s. Eventually equipped with air conditioning. You can host birthday parties as well as other event venues as well. You don't want to host them in one of our cabooses. Next to it is the Garden Railway Society. Looks like right now they're just getting ready to start running some trains here soon. They're one of our two model railroads here at the museum. If you go downstairs into the lower gallery, you'll see a large model railroad based off Colorado. We have all various types of equipment here at the museum as well. Recently restored in April of 2021 is this Gramps tank car. The reason why it says Gramps on the side, unlike the other unmarked tank cars, is there's a grandfather down in Alamosa, Colorado, in the southwestern part of our state. His grandson came up to him one day and said, "Grandpa, which cars are yours?" So he wrote Gramps on the side so his grandson would know which cars were his. Another commodity used for the railroad, behind engine number 12, you'll see a refrigerator car, the light green car that says REA Express. Refrigerator cars were used for over 100 years delivering refrigerated goods. If you look on the top of the roof of that refrigerated car, there's hatches on the top. You'd open them up, put ice in it, and rock salts on the top to keep refrigerated goods nice and cold. I hear that our air brake's being applied to the train as we start to make our descent down our 4% grade. Looking closest to us, the big red brick building there is our roundhouse. You can walk right into the back of the roundhouse inside the viewing gallery, as well as here to the side where these young men are working on one of the projects. As you can see, our metal and woodworking shop. You walk to the front of our roundhouse, you'll see 3 operating steam engines we run here at the museum. Baseball number 1, number 20. Here's a movie Viva Zapata with Marlon Brando. Baseball number 2 is 491, over 400,000 pounds of locomotive. And in baseball number 4 is 346, the oldest operating, over 140 years old. We're going our way through the crossing, so be sure to wave to Bob as we go across. Make sure we stay nice and safe. And speaking of a cross, if you look up towards the Yellow Depot, you'll see a large red engine. That's the Coors switcher. Climb up inside, you can actually operate the throttle, bell, and whistle, all for a quarter. Behind it is a Coors refrigerator car. That's where they used to store all the refrigerated beer when delivering it to different breweries around the state. People eventually got wise to it because they knew that's how Coors used to deliver and advertise their beer, so people would rob the train for beer. So Coors eventually put them in unmarked refrigerator cars. The reason why we're going so slow climbing up this 4% grade is, as a comparison, the Union Pacific takes 11 locomotives to climb up a 4% grade with only 50 cars behind it on the Tennessee Pass line that goes from Dotsero, Colorado to Buena Vista, Colorado. The 2 top speeds for this locomotive is slow and slower, as it was made for a steel mill and not climbing up hills. Nonetheless, if you look on the opposite side of the Railway Society, you'll see a yellow diesel with black stripes. That is the speed train used to go from Denver to Winter Park in the 1980s. It also hauled to California and Rio Grande Zephyr. Next to it, the big red fan in the front is a rotary snowplow. It will go about 5 miles an hour, throwing snow over 100 feet away from the track. And last but not least, the little red caboose you can see right next to the Railway Society where that white tent is at. That little red caboose number 49 was used in the movie Ant-Man with Paul Rudd in 2015, when Ant-Man picks up the caboose when they're fighting on Thomas and throws it at his enemy. As we start to make our crest through the top of the hill, you'll be seeing number 12 and number 14. These are Shay locomotives, a type of all-wheel drive. Very high pulling powers at low rates of speed, found throughout mountainous territories of the United States, hauling lumber and limestone. Number 14 is also very famous as it hauled the largest piece of marble from Marble, Colorado down to the main line. That was eventually used for the tomb of the unknown soldier in Washington, D.C. As we make our second round next to our roundhouse here. In front of the roundhouse, you'll be seeing our turntable. Can't really utilize a roundhouse without one. Our turntable is a manually powered one. How it works, you put equipment in the middle, it balances out, and use levers, yellow and black stripes to turn the pieces of equipment. It only takes one person to completely balance and turn even our largest steam engine, 491 around. If you'd like to come down here and turn the turntable, be sure to come down here and meet Paul here. He's more than happy to help you turn the turntable. And we're making our second way through the cross lane, right next to our conductor Bob. Coming up here shortly on the outside of the curve, facing away from the museum and towards 44th Avenue. Right now it's not too scenic. Right now all you can see is the Coors Brewery warehouses. But here shortly you'll see our largest steam engine that is here on our grounds. That is 5629, the Burlington locomotive. Used to go from Denver to Chicago up to 100 miles an hour, hauling over 70 cars behind it. It's about 18 feet tall. Would weigh over 1 million pounds fully loaded. One of the driver wheels is about 6 feet tall. That locomotive was built in 1940. Now we have a locomotive built exactly 60 years earlier, built in 1880, the oldest locomotive here in Colorado. That is 191. 191 can only go 18 miles an hour and only haul 2 cars behind it through the mountainous territories of Colorado. You can see the evolution of steam between these two locomotives between 191 and 5629, exactly 60 years, of not only power, but also size.
That's right, Molly. We're on our last lap.
As we climb to the top of the hill one last time. Also here on the outside of the curve, you'll be seeing more of our refrigerated cars, wood panel cars that was used between the 1910s all the way through the late 1960s. They also have the hatches on the top where they'd open them up and put ice in it and rock salts on the top. On the end of this consist of cars, you'll be seeing 2 black cars. Those are stock cars that held not only cattle but also horses, pigs, and sheep in their lifetime. And last but not least, here on the outside of the curve, you'll also be seeing our water tower, no agua, meaning no water in Spanish. Our water tank is really crucial to our steam operations that we use here at the museum. 346 and engine number 20, our smaller locomotives, can use up to 3,000 gallons of water. while $4.91 is double that, up to 6,000 gallons of water. The No Agua Stein is actually a real station stop down in New Mexico, and they're building the Chile line from Denver, Colorado, all the way down to Santa Fe, New Mexico. The reason being is a lot of the locals would come up to them and says, there's no water here, there's no agua, when they were building the railroad. Well, the railroad was very bullheaded enough, so they dug down deep enough, found water, but they still kept the station stop name when they were still running the locomotives on the Chile line. The light green car you see here on the end, on the inside of the hood, the MFW department, 6-man bunk car. That's where you normally would sleep in if you actually were on the road. They had to fix derailments or some track work. The vents were not exactly the best. They're wood frame with a hay straw bale, one white sheet, and a really tiny pillow. As we make our way through the roundhouse and turntable once again, on the ends of our turntable here, you'll see a silver contraption here that looks like an automobile on train tracks. It has Galloping Goose number 2 and number 6. Used to deliver mail and freight delivery service 6 days a week. It was a lot more economical back then during the Great Depression, where gas was only 2 cents a gallon, versus running a steam locomotive 6 days a week that could cost over $1,000 a day. All 6 of the 7 Bs still do exist and run to this day. We have 3 of them here, 2, 6, and over by our loading platform, number 7. Anyways, we should be pulling in here shortly for our last station stop. I'd love to talk about every single thing around here, but we've going to be going around for about 3 hours. Nonetheless, we have almost 400 people that's volunteers, only 10 paid staff. Your admissions fee not only keeps us running, but also helps restore our equipment. We do have a donation jar over here where I'm talking right now. We're trying to raise money to put a cover over our 96 car, which is over 134 years old. And it actually developed a leak that we cannot find. So to save that car, we'd love to replace it here soon. We do ask you, please listen to that one last blast of whistle. That means the brakes are applied and safe to get up and get off the train. We do have an event coming up. Tom's the Tank Engines visiting from the island of Sodor in September, and Polar Express in November and December. So we're almost there, folks. Please make sure you have a step underneath before you disembark. You can exit from both the front that you came on as well as the back near the